Good evening and welcome to ELOSOFUMARTAKES. This is our 203rd take, live from the Alec Bradley Lone Star studio of Azle, Texas. I'm your host, Baird Plissy, as always, and I'm so glad, so proud, so pleased, and so privileged to be with you all tonight. This is going to be a fantastic show. A first-time guest is always exciting, and I'm super excited for this one. You have no idea. I've been planning this for a while, and I'm so glad that the dates worked out on this one. And we'll get to formal introductions in a second. Before we introduce our guest of honor tonight, we do have to thank tonight's show's sponsors. And of course, tonight's show is sponsored by Drew Estate. Drew Estate recently announced the creation of the 20-acre farm, but has now introduced an exclusive for Corona Cigar Company, the 25th anniversary Bellicoso 20-acre farm. To celebrate the Corona Cigar Company's 25th anniversary, Drew Estate is adding the Bellicoso 7x54 to its newly released 20-acre farm brand, available exclusively at Corona Cigar. The 20-acre farm Corona Cigar Company 25th anniversary Bellicoso will debut at a marquee event just last week. Corona Cigar Company's owner Jeff Borswich is also a tobacco farmer who single-handedly revived cigar tobacco growing here in Florida, one harvest at a time. On his pristine 20-acre plot of land near Orlando, Jeff dubbed his tobacco Florida Sun-Grown, and this opulent and majestic leaf takes center stage in the Drew Estate's 20-acre farm blend. So you can get the Bellicoso from 20-acre farm at coronacigar.com. Check out Jeff's website there. We're going to be talking a little bit about Jeff because he played a part in my guest's life, plays a part pretty much on a daily basis because he lives right by one of the stores. We'll get into that right now. Tonight's guest, sponsored by United Cigars. Smoke one today. Start living United. Mr. Howard Gumbs Jr. of Howard G Cigars. Howard, how are you doing tonight?
I'm phenomenal, man. How are you?
Oh, I am doing absolutely fantastic. Sensational. I've been waiting for this show for such a long time. It's such a pleasure to have you on. I'm super stoked about it. So I know you really did me a favor tonight. You made sure that the Orlando Magic had an early game, and then you booked it back over here so that you could be a guest tonight. I can't think enough. I didn't even ask you the more important question. I didn't catch it. Did they win? That's the most important thing.
No, it went to overtime, and the Philadelphia 76ers had two superstars by Joel Embiid and James Harden, and so they pulled out the victory by 2 points.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. What have you seen? I mean, I know you're a big Magic fan, and so I know he's come to town at least a few times, and probably the times you've seen him. I mean, have you seen James Harden play a lot?
Yeah, I've seen James Harden play since he was with the Thunder, when he was paired up with KD and Russell Westbrook back then. So, and then I was at the game when he dropped 60 on the Magic when he was with the Houston Rockets. So I've seen the bearded one live a few different times. He's a phenomenal guy.
Oh, unbelievable! I'm a fan of his because of the beard thing. I know that sounds weird, but his game, it's really interesting that back in the day, when he and Durant and Brett Westbrook were all playing on the same team. I mean, it was really great for him to go off to be with the Rockets because I think it allowed him to become this superstar, but it seems like him and Westbrook kind of play at the same speed. So I watched those games, but I never really paid attention when they were with the Thunder. Those games had to be like super fast with those three guys on the court. Like they just had to be going up and down the court with just like insane speed.
Yeah, he was actually the sixth man of the year. So he came off the bench, James Harden did. Mm-hmm. But then anytime it was in the crucial moments, they had him in the game. And so it was like a three-headed monster. But you're right. Once, Daryl Morey of the Houston Rockets saw the talent and gave him the opportunity to lead his own team, then he put the world on notice like, hey, I'm really a superstar myself. And he had a really nice game. He doesn't play that much defense, but,
No. Not much by the way of defensive efforts these days in professional basketball. But I think I think that's what makes it, as entertaining it as it is. Like we were actually having, I was actually having this conversation um, down in Miami. I was down there for the Great Smoke 2 weekends ago, and we just happened to be talking about basketball, and it was just talking about how, like, there were two teams in one night that scored over 150 points, and one of them had to lose. Like when I was growing up, like no one, I mean, it was rare for a team to score 110. Like they got to 100 regularly, but most scores that I saw in the box score the following morning were in that like 98 to 93,
Yeah.
kind of range of winning versus losing and stuff like that. And so have to score 150 plus points and lose the game is, oh man, that's just heartbreaking. It's just nuts. So but I mean, I know you grew up in Kissimmee, which is right there. And stuff. So have you been a Magic fan? I mean, since their beginning?
I mean, if you want to be completely honest, I'm a Michael Jordan fan. So I grew up a Bulls fan because of Michael Jordan.
Gotcha.
But when I moved to Orlando, who didn't want to have season tickets for the Magic? I have an 18-year-old son, so I got this tickets when he were somewhere around 12 years old or something like that, something to take him to the games and then hang out and meet the players and stuff like that as a kid growing up. And then it just progressed to, having it for business, and giving it away to clients and different things like that. So I go to the Magic games. I do live in Orlando, so I want them to do well. But at this stage where they're losing, I think this was the 51st loss of this season, right? So I kind of go to the games to see the other players as well. So, I'm going to go to the game to see, on Tuesday night to see KD again, and I'm going to go to the Warriors game. But the other games other than that, I'll probably just, and the season's almost over. So I'll either give them away or something like that.
I know, I know they've got a lot of young talent on the team. I mean, with I know they have like the veteran presence of of Robin Lopez, who's been around the league forever. I know he's on the and then but Markelle Fultz too. But I feel like he's been injured like half of his career. But he's missed
a lot of time. One bright spot for them was Cole Anthony.
Right.
Cole Anthony. To be a rookie, he's very poised as a rookie. Even tonight, he's the guy that was, staring Harden in the face and pulling up for the three to give the Magic the lead, and then they end up, taking it back to go into overtime. So, but he's the bright spot that I see for the Magic. The guy that literally can possibly be an all-star in the future. But they're a very young team right now.
Yeah. Well, and they got Manute Bol's kid too as well. Yeah, Bol. Is he I've never actually seen him play. I mean, how does he stack? I mean, his dad was a pretty good player. He just, if his dad had put I feel like he probably could have dominated a lot more at the era that he played in, but I know he was rattled with injuries too. But I've heard his kid is pretty good.
Well, they said I've seen his kid play when he was on Denver coming off the bench, but that roster is so stocked. Mm-hmm. They're so stacked with talent. So he rarely got a chance to get in the game unless it was a blowout. But I haven't seen him play for the Magic yet.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if he's injured or anything like that. So the Magic have quite a bit of people that are injured, from Jonathan Isaac to I think Terrence Ross got injured. That's why he didn't play tonight. He's the sixth man on the Magic's team, and so they have some different players that are banged up right now in this season. So but I haven't seen him play directly for the Magic yet. So I don't know if they're going to shut him down for the rest of the season or give him a shot to play. But he wasn't dressed out today for tonight's game.
Okay. Well, I hope they get better soon, and you can see some of that young talent actually kind of get into their own and everything. So, but again, Howard, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Really excited. So we have a tradition here on my show where my guest is allowed to pick my first cigar of the evening, and I'm really excited about the choices that I have. You know what they are, of course. But I've got the Howard G Magic Stick Cameroon, which we're going to be talking about all three of these actually later, but the Magic Stick Cameroon. I have the Howard G Black Moses Maduro. And I also have the One of a Kind, which is one of the cigars in the All Pro series. This is Ike Taylor's cigar. So Howard, which cigar am I smoking first this evening? It is all on you, sir.
I would have you start, since we're doing the show live and that cigar is currently in Cigar Snob right now, this issue, let's start with the One of a Kind.
You got it. I was gonna go with whatever my guest picks. I was really hoping you were gonna pick the cigar. I'm super excited about it. So pigtail cap, it looks like. So nice. And we were talking about this a little bit before the show and everything. So Sumatran wrapper, right?
Yes. So Sumatra wrapper, 80% Nicaraguan, 20% Lancaster, PA, because Ike Taylor's a two-time Super Bowl champion of the Pittsburgh Steelers, so he wanted to have something for his state of
there
PA.
You go. Nice.
And so when it blended perfectly with the Nicaraguan blend, and that Sumatra wrapper just gives it a beautiful medium note profile from it, and it's a very smooth cigar for us. And most importantly, it's Ike Taylor's personal blend, and it's his favorite cigar, and so that makes us happy.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's really great how and we're going to get into this a little bit more in a second, but it's really great seeing him at events that y'all do together and trade shows and everything. And he's out there really just, he's out there really pushing out the cigar and talking about how much he loves it and everything, and becoming not just like a figurehead. He's and more than an ambassador too. He's really one with the brand, which is just fantastic. So, well, fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and get started on this, and we'll kind of roll with it here. But that does bring us into tonight's major point, which, of course, is brought to you by the people, cigar people, the people who know everything about a lifetime of service. Protocol Cigars is more than just pool parties and good times. Well, maybe it is. But behind the fun is a motivation for service, a motivation for giving back. From the original Protocol Blue to the latest release in the Lawman series, Bass Reeves, Protocol has always been about honor, passion, and yes, the people. It's what their life's work has been and always will be about. Power of the P, Protocol Cigars. So Howard, we're going to talk a lot about your cigars tonight, but I'm really excited about the opportunity to sit with you and get to know you as a person and how you ended up becoming a part of this industry, because I'll kind of tee this up here a little bit. I first noticed you. I first heard about Howard G Cigars, and I first knew who you were when I literally saw your name on the banner of PCA sponsors last year. And I noted this to you in an email when I sent it to you. And I said, I was like, I don't know anything about them. I tried to go by your booth a couple of times. It was my fault. I didn't prioritize my time a lot better. And so I really was like, well, I want to try the cigars because you support the industry. And I was like, I've got to try this man's cigar. So I ordered some of your cigars, and I had the Cameroon Magic Stick first. And I was literally blown away. And I mean, it was fantastic. I mean, I'd want to get to know you, even if I didn't like the cigar too, but I actually really did love it. And so it's kind of started from there. And here we are. But I mean, where did you grew up in Kissimmee, Florida? And so have you been born and raised a Florida kid all your entire life? Is that how you grew up, or did you move around?
Born and raised in Kissimmee, Florida, Bear. Born and raised. It's just, for me, I got into cigars from a different angle. I got into cigars, actually. I was actually in Minnesota on a trip. I went to a friend's grandmother passed away, and so we went to Minnesota, and I went to go show my respects. And her cousin, after that funeral, was like, "Hey, you want to smoke a cigar with me?" And so I said, "Well, sure, let's smoke a cigar." And I smoked a cigar, and I was like, "You know what? I can actually see myself. I can actually see myself doing this." It just it just felt right. And so when I got back to Orlando, I wanted to go to the best cigar spot that they had there, and of course that was Corona Cigar in Sand Lake, and then from there the rest was history. Pretty much been going there 13, 14 years, and when we fast forward now, I would say 97% of the people that is closest to me, I met them somehow through a cigar.
That's really crazy. So that 15 years ago at this funeral where you went to go pay your respects, that was your very first cigars, like, period?
Ever.
Okay. Do you remember what it was, just by chance?
Yeah. It was a Rocky Patel Decade, 1990.
Oh, okay.
And
awesome.
So
great cigar.
We was in Minnesota, and the guy's name was Duncan, and we went to a place called Twigs, and he was like, "Man, here, have a cigar." And he smoked cigars. And so I smoked it. I was like, "Man, this is not bad." I literally liked that particular cigar. I ended up smoking 3 or 4 of them during that time, and really cool. I mean, now, granted, I wasn't retrohaling and doing things like that, but just to be able to the draw of it, it just paired well with me. And so I took that back when I got to Orlando and started from there.
Awesome. So so I mean, it all started with the community, and then it also became more and more about the community, which is really, really cool. I love Sand Lake, the store that Jeff's got been there. I've been to a couple of his stores, and I really that one kind of, I feel like I haven't gone to the other ones yet, so I can't really pass judgment on all of them. But I feel like Sand Lake is going to be like would be my preferred Corona store. It just seems like my speed, my jam. Like, it's just really a really nice, cool spot. It gets pretty bumping though. Like, I mean, I feel like we were there on like a Thursday. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was still like packed and everything. Is that how it's pretty much done every night there?
Absolutely. Sand Lake, we call it the house. Sand Lake is our house. So, that where it's located, it's kind of like they say in real estate, location. Shout outs to Jeff and Tanya and the rest of the Corona staff, but that Sand Lake store is beautifully located. And what I mean by that is it's right off of Sand Lake in what we call Restaurant Row. So when you look in, across the street, you have the Morton Steakhouse. If you look at the other way, you have Eddie V's, you have Ruth Chris, you have Charlie's Steakhouse right down the road. So it's right in the middle of Restaurant Row, and then we're right there at Bay Hill. So like last week, they had the Bay Hill Invitational Golf Tournament. So then there was buses coming up, sprinters coming up, and guys were just getting off by the droves to go in there to have a cigar. People are leaving from dinner. They want to have a cigar. And so everybody know the best game in town is a Corona cigar. So they're going to definitely pull up there. And the ambiance is great. A lot of us are real deal cigar guys. And so, you have what we call the regulars. and it's just a great place to meet people. Like you could just make a friend easily at Sand Lake. You know, people from all walks of life. You know, you just sit there and have a cigar, and it puts everything in, you know, in perspective. You turn around and you have a cigar, and then you start talking, and before you know it, you're friends. When the relationship's built.
That's the thing I comment on nearly every week, Howard, is just how like these what we're smoking right now. I mean, it's the greatest equalizer in the world. Cigar shops are the last. I feel like, you know, not to be over dramatic, and I say this all the time, but I still repeat it. But like, I feel like it's like the last great, you know, meeting place. You know, you know, and it's not just like-minded individuals. There's people of all different backgrounds, all different economic classes, all different races, all different creeds, even political beliefs. And
Yep.
you know, even in today's society of very, very high tension politics splitting our country, people get along.
Yeah.
People get along in a cigar shop. They just do. It's just one of those things. And it's absolutely one of the most wonderful things that it's one of the things I love about this industry so much. So so you went obviously and to Sand Lake when you got back from Minnesota, and that became your spot from there on. It allowed you to meet a lot of these people. So what did I know we're going to get into how you got into the industry here in a second.
Okay.
With who you met, but like what did you do? I know that you've been an entrepreneur your entire career. So I mean, has that been your thing? You've been in business development your entire professional life, or I mean, what were you doing before you got into cigars here?
So my father was a business guy, entrepreneur, owned businesses here in Orlando, and so he always told me, you know, run your own businesses. And so what I did was I got myself licensed in every aspect that I could utilize. So I went and got my 215 license. So I started building clients with life, health, and annuities, and then also I started in the tax business and had some offices with that. But then my primary thing was I literally loved the car business. The car business was just so awesome for me. But then the problem that I had was that the hours were just ridiculous. And so,
Yeah.
you know, I would go and do really well for 6 months. And then after a while, I'm like, I can't take it anymore. I'd rather be smoking a cigar. I'd rather be doing something else. And then I got introduced to the network marketing industry, and I started doing that and did pretty well with that. And so that gave me the time freedom back to allow myself to continue to have my other businesses, but then to still enjoy myself, not being like stuck in one individual spot. And so from there, I started just doing a lot of business at the cigar bar. At Sand Lake, you know, if my client smokes a cigar, I would personally buy them a cigar for them to meet me at Sand Lake to have a cigar and go over business, then to meet me at my office. It was it was an added benefit, right? And so that's what we would do. And then from that, all different meetings or any business people that I met with, you know, we would do it at Corona. We would be right there, either there or downtown Corona. Either way, we would sit there and do business and then have a cigar. So it just went hand in hand for me. And it's been such an enjoyable experience, and what it's been able to do for myself, not only myself, but my family as well.
That's awesome. So I know that I guess because Howard G Cigars is I guess I don't want to call it a side gig, but I know you've got other business interests still and stuff. And I think you're and please forgive me if I'm misquoting or giving you an inaccurate title, but you're a managing partner for Natural Boost, right? You do that as well? So
Natural Boost was one of my names when I was in a network marketing company.
Okay.
And so I I ran it through the naturalboost.com. That was a health company
Okay.
That we did. Yes,
Okay.
in the network marketing realm.
Just one of the many businesses. Yeah, I saw that you did business develop. You've done business development. And you're like, you're basically your entire career. And I was like, man, this is awesome. My day job, my day job is I sell software to small business owners. So that's why I was like, it totally makes sense. So we're kindred spirits here. I love small business owners, and it's just I love working with them on a daily basis. So that's fantastic. So you decide. So you go to Sand Lake, and you're meeting all sorts of people over the last 14, 15 years, and then you meet a gentleman from American Caribbean named Alex, and you guys start talking about making cigars. Am I right?
Yeah. So I actually met Alex about 9 years ago through one of my athletes, Leon Cersei.
Okay.
He introduced me because Leon is a Miami Hurricane legend, 3-time national champion, and Alex is a Hurricane fanatic, diehard fan. But where they differ is Alex is a Cowboy fan, and I'm a Cowboy fan. So Leon says, "Man, I got to introduce you guys," because Alex was the first guy to ever get Leon to smoke a cigar. And that was, being at the, as a at a Miami Hurricane tailgate scenario, he got him to smoke a cigar. And so that made him like, wow. And then years later, Leon introduced me to him. And then me and Alex literally became like, best friends. Alex pretty much tells people I'm his twin brother. They don't believe it. He really tells people that. So, but and so we've went to Cowboys games together. If I'm in Miami or he comes to Orlando, we'll link up. But the gentleman that really was the catalyst for me to get my mind to even think about possibly being in the cigar business was the one and only legend, Mr. Avo Uvezian. I had the pleasure of meeting Avo at Corona, Sand Lake, and when I first met him, he was still driving. He was driving the Buick, and then right after that, I believe he got in a fender bender or something, and he wasn't driving anymore. But what I've noticed is that every birthday, they would have a party for him, and at this party, he would come out with an exclusive line of cigars for that particular birthday. So it started, 80s. One of them that sticks out perfectly was the Avo 88. He had, he was a pianist for Frank Sinatra. So I still have a couple boxes of that particular thing. You open up that box, it was 16 cigars in there, and they had the keys in there, and it was just beautiful. And then the following year, he had one that looks like the record player, the disc. And but we used to sit outside with them outside Sand Lake. Monday through Friday, Avo is going to be there between 5:30 and 7 o'clock. And so having a privilege to sit down and talk with him and build a relationship with him was valuable. But the key thing, Bear, is prior to his death, he told me one day we were just sitting out there, just myself and him, and he goes, Howie, he says, you should be in the cigar business. And he talked very soft. And I called him Papa. I said, you mean me, Papa? In the cigar business? And he said, yeah. And I said, why do you say that? And his words were, because you love the people like I love the people. And I was like, wow, that was pretty deep there. And so, I kind of laughed it off, but, it's an actual true story. And then, so later on, Alex came down and he said, hey, I'm going to be in Orlando. You got time to meet up? I said, yeah. He said, well, just meet me at Corona about 6 or 7 o'clock. I said, no, not a problem. By the time I get to Corona on Sand Lake, he was at the bar. But by the time I got to him, it was about 25 minutes later because I was already, talking to people on the way in. So that's when he goes, hey, man, you're the mayor here. Like, did you ever think about making a cigar? and it brought up the seed that Avo had planted, maybe a year prior. And so that's when that whole process started from there.
So, as I'm talking to you here, Howard, I'm kind of piecing together some of this stuff, and it sounds, this is a beautiful story, because in a way, your entrance into the cigar industry honors two very important people in your life. It honors your father, who's, raised you to be your own man, to be your own boss, to always be your own business, and to honor a man who made people his business, not necessarily cigars his business, but people his business. And I can tell that that's the way that as I've kind of been preparing for the show and everything. If I could characterize, I'm having an epiphany live on air here. This is why this is kind of profound. But if I could characterize what Howard G Cigars is, like what it omits to me as a person, as I'm just kind of learning about them, is it's a cigar brand for the people. Like I've seen videos of you and interviews that you've done, and it's very much you talking about the cigars, but you've got Ike there, and you've got Leon there, and you've got Rachel there, and it's a line of people being this ambassador for this vision that you've created. So that's pretty apt. I think you executed on Avo's plan pretty well. What do you think?
You're absolutely right. For me, I would prefer to be around people than just to be by myself. And that's just my personality. I like people. So, I run into some, bad people every now and then, but I program myself like, there's only 9 more bad people in the world like you. You can move around. I keep myself thinking positive. People feel like if they see me and I'm not like energetic or something, I could be sitting down smoking a cigar, being quiet. Somebody that come over there like, you okay, bro? You sure? Ain't nothing wrong. And I'm like, no, I'm good. Why? What's wrong? I don't know, Howie, you don't look like yourself right now. And I'm like, what did I do? Nothing. Just, I don't feel the energy from you. Like, because I'm the type of guy, like, I make sure everybody feels good about it. I want, when I meet somebody, when I leave, I want them to feel like, man, I address people by their name. If I'm going to the store and I'm in the checkout line and the lady's name is Susan, when I get what's up, I'm like, thank you so much, Susan. I hope you have a great day. Like, it's just, I like to deal, make a person have a smile on their face. And so for our events, when we do our cigar events, it's not about me, it's not about Ike, or it's not about Leah, it's about all of us. And so we like to have fun. We tell people all the time, we're just slinging cigars. At the end of the day, we're having a good time, and we're just slinging cigars. It's not from a standpoint of, we want everybody to feel comfortable, Mm-hmm. They said to me, somebody says, hey, Howie, man, my favorite cigar in your line is the one of a kind. That's by far my favorite one. And I'm like, high five, absolutely, perfect. Somebody says, no. Well, for me, Howie, it's the Cameroon. I high five them because we're just happy that we just want to be a part of your humidor. We're just thankful to be a part of your humidor because as an individual, you have the choice to shop wherever you want to shop.
Mm-hmm. That's 100% true.
And so, that's 100% true. So my mind is always, I tell people all the time, I smoke other cigars as well. I'm a fan of the industry, and I have a lot of friends and a lot of people that's been instrumental to me. And we're gonna always do that. But and we're constantly learning and evolving and trying to get better. But we're here for the long haul. We're not here for a fad. And so it's a respect thing for the industry, and we're trying to do things the right way and to keep the same core values that the industry started with, to keep that growing on as well, along with producing quality products and and having a good time doing it. They say it's not work when you enjoy what you're doing, and we enjoy
absolutely
smoking cigars and talking to people.
Well, and it's you mentioned something a second ago that you actually you did a whole video series on, which was we're just proud, we're just thankful and proud to be part of your humidor. And so from a brand owner standpoint, I've asked a ton of owners this way. I mean, this question, like from the very beginning and everything. Yours is a lot more recent than some of these others, so you probably still have that memory. When you first saw your cigar on somebody's shelf, what was that moment like?
Well, I have two. Bear, great question, number one. But I have two standpoints. I have two thoughts. One thought was, I have three. One started when I didn't even have boxes yet, okay? Because due to COVID, the boxes and everything was like on, held back. But I did have the bundles. So I had some smaller lounges of my friends that wanted to be the first ones to carry it. And to see the reaction and the response that we got from some of our hookah lounges and our smaller lounges with friends that are not the mainstream cigar spots, but they wanted to carry it there. And that gets a crowd. That was the first thought, like, wow, like, yeah, this is pretty cool, right? The second one was when we were able to get it into Disney Springs, Disney World. And
the Sosa cigar store, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And so that one meant a lot because it's Disney World. And I'm, born and raised right here in Central Florida. And, there's only one cigar lounge that's on Disney premises, and that's Sosa. So to be able to have the whole line in there, not to mention that is, beautiful. Once you open the humidor, our whole line is eye level right there.
Oh, that's so
cool. So shout out to Al and the guys, Christopher and everybody at Social Cigar, and that was another like wow. And then the third and the biggest for us was, when Jeff gave us the opportunity and Tanya to put it across the whole Coronas, and then also on the website for them as well. And so to see that we've had to shout out to the managers, H and the general manager Angel and Matt and Ryan and the whole Corona family, because for us to have events and to do an event in Lake Mary, and then I get a phone call the next morning saying that was the best event they had. That meant a lot for us being a boutique brand. To following that up with having an event at Sand Lake and the numbers that we did at Sand Lake at that event was off the charts. It was the number one event that at that time there. And then to downtown, which seeing their numbers increase drastically and getting the calls from the managers like, hey, you can do an event at my location anytime. That was pretty cool. And then for their Tampa location, the Davidoff store, for the manager to call in and say, hey, you did those 3 stores. What about us here in Tampa? What about us? Will we chop liver? And so to go down there and to do an event there on an off night and still have a great turnout and stuff like that, those are what really like make you just, you feel proud, but you also know that, you sometimes you have to step back. And the number one person that does this to me is Rachel, because I'm always go, 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 go. I look at, my dad always told me to be focused on what you need to get to. And so, but Rachel has done a phenomenal job to say, hey, relax there, slow down, take this time to appreciate what you've done, what we've done so far. Appreciate it. And I'm like, you know what, you're right. You know, you can always, you know, think about what you can do better. How can you increase? How can you expand? What can you do more and things like that? But also sometimes you need to sit back and appreciate what you've done so far, especially when you're doing it from the heart and you're having fun with it.
No, absolutely. I think those perspectives are really, really unique. Like you said, that we took a look at it from 3 different ways, and I imagine like every first in the cigar business is like anything. Like it's just, you know, it's all part of, you know, it's all part of the experience, and what a I guess what a continued like returning gift that it just keeps on happening, these firsts and stuff. That's really great that you, so the going back to the video that you talk about being, you know, we're just proud to be part of your humidor and everything. I have a silly aside question. Is that narrated by Joe Montana?
No.
Okay.
It's actually narrated by Frank from Great Lakes Smoked.
Okay. It sounds exactly like Joe Montana. I was like, oh my gosh, this like this guy knows Ike Taylor, he knows Leon Searcy. I was like, if he knows Joe Montana too, that's just fantastic. He sounds exactly like him. It caught my ear. I was like, wait, hold on a second. But well, that's funny. But and I've noticed that you guys have done a considerable number of events that just seem to be going really well for y'all. Is what is it, you know, when people are coming up to you at these events, and like you said, you keep high-fiving them when they tell you that, hey, this is my favorite cigar and this is my favorite cigar, you know, when someone comes up and tells you like that they've, and I'm sure this happens a lot because you're just getting started and everything, but they've never heard of Howard G.
Yes.
And I think we kind of covered this a little bit a moment ago, but like, what do you tell them when they say, well, tell me about your cigars, Howard? Like, that's probably the most, you know, just obnoxious question you get all the time. Like, what do you say? Like, how do you introduce it?
Especially at PCA and TPE, because, you know, everybody already have appointments with the big boys. You know what I mean? The
Sure.
And everybody else. So when they walk by, you know, they typically, you know, catch the Black Moses, or they typically say, well, I like the logo of the Howard G, looks clean, or something like that. So I've heard of you, or I don't know too much about it, but somebody mentioned the Black Moses or something like that. Or of course they hear about Ike Taylor from the One of a Kind series. But so when they come to me, I just let them know, listen, I say Howard G Cigars. And I start off with the first blends, you know, and the very first blend that I made was the Black Moses Maduro. And so and then I tell them why. Because my favorite cigar was the Padron 80 year. That was my favorite cigar. Okay. That's not a BK, right? But that particular cigar, I love the fact that I was able to smoke that cigar, have a long white ash, the construction on it. Very rarely you see any issues with Padron. Now, when you smoke that cigar, it's always been consistent. So I wanted to make something that I thought personally could be something that could be comparable for a standpoint at a fraction of the price, because I also know that there's a lot of new, young, business-oriented individuals that are getting into the cigar world that I think that will be a much affordable cigar compared to, you know, to that. So, and one of the first things I would do is I would talk about that cigar, and then I would talk about the Black Moses Natural after that, because it's pretty much the same blend, just different wrappers. Then I would go into the Black Moses Limited, which is a complete different cigar.
That's what you're smoking right now, right?
That's what I'm smoking now. And so, and then after that, I would go into my Magic Stick series, and I would talk about my baby is the Cameroon. which is my first stick of the day and my last stick of the day. I will let them know that this particular cigar here has a beautiful aroma, and also the taste of it is a distinctive taste of the wrapper that you can taste throughout. And then I will go into the Habano, and then my Robusto, which I call my little Floyd Mayweather, because the Robusto is a 5x52, but that has a little bit stronger punch than my Toro, which is a 6x50, because of the Ometepe tobacco inside of it. And when you retrohale, it would make your eyes get watery. and then off that, then we would go into the All Pro Series. But the cool thing about it is at these shows, or if I'm sitting down talking with a manager or a owner of a lounge, I'm able right then and there to say, what do you normally smoke? Are you more of a mild, medium, or a full body? And then I would take that cigar right then and there and cut it and get them to smoke it right then and there. So now we have a dialogue there. Mm-hmm. And then we would go from there. So now they're able to get it, because there's a lot of marketing stuff people talk about, but the best thing is to get the cigar in their hand.
Right, and to smoke it. No, absolutely. I really like that. I really like the inspiration that the inspirations that you've had throughout your career and to come to this point. So now we find out another one, the Padron 80th, which is just like this iconic cigar, and that's the inspiration that you drew from the Black Moses Maduro, which I've right here. But I also what I appreciate too about that is you wanted to give something to that fan because you are that fan, and you're not saying this is like a Padron 80th, but it's given to someone who appreciates that cigar and can something that they can enjoy because you enjoy that cigar. And I mean, that's a great relatable point. So let's go back to this. So this is the first cigar that you created, the Black Moses Maduro, and then followed by the Natural. So let's start with the name. I've wanted to know the story about the name. I have something in my head. It's probably completely wrong, so I'm not going to tell you until you tell me and see how far off I am. But what's the story of Black Moses? What's behind the name?
The reason that I came out with the name Black Moses is because I have multiple businesses, and so in life you have obstacles, right? In life you have obstacles. So in business you have obstacles. But in my world, where the average individual quits or gives up on their businesses or whatever because of the obstacles, I choose to part through the obstacles in my way, like Moses parted through the Red Sea. And so that was my reason of coming out with the name Black Moses. And then when you take that same name and when you think back of like who was like Black Moses in today's world, you would think about like a guy that was like Isaac Hayes, that people would, tons of people would go to Vegas and get married with the Shafts logo and the different things that way. Can you dig it? And he had a nice vibe. You know what I mean? It was more of like a smooth, who is the man? So that all kind of went together with that. But the actual reason is because I have obstacles like everybody else, but I have to find a way to get through it. And so I try to part through it like he parted through the Red Sea. So that was the reason for that.
Nice. I like your story better. In my head, I thought it had something to do with Moses Malone, because I know that Moses Malone's, because I know you're a basketball guy, and Moses Malone's nickname was Black Jesus. And so I thought it was something along those lines of that. But I like that story is really cool about it. So many meanings behind it. But I mean, I think this is a good time to talk about this, because I think this is really important. And I told you before we started the show tonight, this industry is there's so many minorities flowing through the industry. Women play an incredible role in the industry, but there's not many women-owned brands. Mm-hmm. Black people play a huge role in this industry, but there's not very many Black-owned brands. You're one of the very few. And so from that perspective, I mean, tell us, does that play a part in in the fact that you are now in the cigar industry? Is that a big deal to you? Or, what, because I think it's incredible. The more diversity that we have in terms of like ownership of brands, I think is a huge positive for this industry. But I'm really interested to hear your perspective on this.
I mean, I really think that for me, the cigar world is a multicultural genre. It's like, so for myself personally, I deal with everybody. Like, if anybody that literally knows me, if see me out, you would see like I'm like the United Nations, man. I have, everybody. I literally deal with everybody. So because the cigars have done that for me, just building relationships in general. But when you look at right now, I think it is important for me to realize that I can help other African Americans or Black people that might have a desire to be in the cigar world or a desire to get in, but might not, have an avenue to be able to talk to someone, or to be able to say, well, how were you able to do this? Or how were you able to do that? And to do, you know what I mean? And to find your niche. But I mean, as far as my niche per se, I don't have a specific niche of a certain a genre of a group, because we deal with everyone.
Yeah, it's all inclusive. That's cigars, Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So, but it does mean a lot for people to say, man, wow, man, I don't know too many people that are African American that actually own their own line, and and then it's actually a great cigar, man. So congratulations and things like that, and we get that a lot. But also, I don't want to misconstrue to make it feel like, because some people say, well, did you make Black Moses the name because you think Moses is Black? This. I was like, honestly, I never did think about that. I said, but I didn't think about that. I said, but the reason I did it is because of this. But hey, if you want to go with that, fine. If that's what you like, cool. But I just honestly, man, I try to help whoever I can help. And if I can help my people, I'm going to do it. And if I can help anybody else, I'm going to do it. Because at the end of the day, I didn't get to where I'm at now without being able to have friends that I talk with, on a daily or weekly basis that give me certain advice, or I'll pick up a phone and call a buddy that is a VP of a company, of a cigar company, and ask them some questions, and or we'll talk, and they'll give me and break everything down. Say, no, look at it this way, Howie. This. But yeah. I also realize that I do come from being a boutique brand. I do want to look out for the smaller lounges as well, though, because it's easy to get caught up in the bigger lounges saying, okay, I'm only going to deal with these people. But you know what? That's the same way being a boutique brand, where some people can say, well, we're not buying any boutique stuff. We're only promoting, the larger brands. So I try to keep an open mind on both spectrums, as far as, it depends on which area you're in as well too, because in certain markets are different. I know, how the market is in Central Florida, but I will tell you in Atlanta, it's a total different market than it is, here in Orlando. And
yeah, it's so saturated. Market. Atlanta's so saturated. Like, so, people think of like Florida being the cigar capital, and it is, right? But Atlanta has more cigar shops per capita than any other place on the planet. Like, it's nuts.
Well over 100 and something.
It's crazy.
Yeah, just in that Atlanta region.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I was like, wow. I mean, so, but yeah. So,
well, I know we're bouncing around a lot here, Howard, but but I really appreciate you keeping up with me here. Before I peel off this beautiful label, I wanted to I am to the label on this one of a kind. I do want to come back to the Black Moses Natural because I want to hear about. I know you said the wrapper's different, but and I know, and with all respect to your other partner in the All Pro series, Leon Searcy, I know he was the first in the All Pros. But the one of a kind, as you mentioned, recently got a rating in Cigar Snob, really nice, 89 rating. I've been smoking. This is my first experience with the one of a kind. I'll tell you my thoughts here in a second, but um, I gotta hear the story on why you and Ike came up with this label. It's really unique. I really like it. The name also very unique. But you gotta tell me the story about the I'm going to call it the Joker face in the background. If I'm off, I'm sorry, but that's kind of what it reminds me of. I'm sure there's a story behind it. I love it though. It's great.
So that's 100% Ike. Ike's. So you look at it where it says, so it's one and it's and there's an AH, then the KINE. So it's one of a kind that way, spelled differently. But anybody that's on Instagram, that's Ike's Instagram handle, one of a kind that way. So that's what he came up with. And then that logo look was what he always had. Only thing we did was we changed the color of it.
Right.
We changed it for it to be the black and yellow to go with Steelers.
Nice.
Yeah, he typically was already like a purplish color. And so that look, that smile really is a smirk. And because if anybody knows Ike, he's not as talkative as I am. Like I can talk with everybody, where Ike is more reserved. But
I was gonna say he seems more reserved from some of the interviews that y'all have done.
But once you get him warmed up now, once he gets warmed up, idle down, he can go. But as far as natural personality wise, he's more of a laid back guy. Laid back. So we some people say that it looks like the Joker to them. Like a Joker type of smirk, and so what it is it's a smirk. Like
it's a smirk.
It's the smirk.
Nice.
For lack of a better term.
Well, you tell Ike that he needs to keep up that positive attitude. I saw the video where he was talking about the Cigar Snob rating. He's like, they gave us an 89. I'm cool with that. I was like, oh, bravo, Ike. Because I know cigar brand owners that would just lose their mind over an 89. So bravo. 89 is a good score. Be excited about that because it's a damn good score. He should be proud of it. I'm thoroughly enjoying this. Like we said, we talked about the Sumatran wrapper. I can really taste the Sumatran right off the bat from the light. The retrohale is incredibly unique. I was really just kind of getting a flavor of the cigar. I was smoking it down. And it wasn't until you talked about retrohale a few minutes ago that I actually retrohaled this cigar. And it was very, very impressive. The aroma is very, very clean. It's a very, I would put it slightly above mild, but I would still characterize it as a milder cigar. But there's enough flavor there to keep you impacted. And it's very full flavored, but it's just mild body. Like this is a really nice, easygoing cigar, really clean. Wonderful finish, really kind of nice nuttiness with that Sumatran wrapper, getting a little bit of coffee too. Really, really enjoying this cigar. This is really well done. And so is this made at American Caribbean too, or is this made at a different factory?
That's made at American Caribbean, yes.
Okay. All right. So back really quickly to, I wanted to talk about it because I still had the label on before I had to peel it off, but so going back to the Black Moses Natural, so the Maduro was the first one, then you released the Natural. And what is you call it the Natural, but what's the actual wrapper on the Black Moses Natural?
Habano.
It's a Habano. Okay.
Yeah. So we put a 2-year age Habano wrapper on that particular one. Mm-hmm. So it's a different Habano wrapper on that one that's on the Magic Stick Habano.
And you were talking to me about, see, again, I'm bouncing back and forth here, but I apologize. So you guys do a prerequisite aging period for the Black Moses and the Magic Stick, but the one of a kind goes an additional amount of time, you were telling me, right?
Yeah. So what happens is once the cigars are made in the factory, we get a email that states it's going into to rest, and so I then myself or either Rachel will jot down what it is, and at our office, so we'll know, okay, this particular lot number is going into that now. So now we'll start our countdown for before we get it shipped here to us here in Orlando. And then with that, we went an extra 30 days with one of a kind when we originally started that. So and just the reason why is because we noticed a lot of times when people that are new to smoking cigars, they really don't know. But the guys that's been smoking for a long time, we call them aficionados, of course, when they smoke a cigar, if they smoke your brand and then they turn around, they expect a certain consistency, right, from smoking the brand. So now if you smoke it and this probably was not done the same way, probably was released a little earlier, I would be able to taste it. And I'm pretty sure if I'd be able to taste it, also the other aficionados will be able to taste it as well. And so that's one of the things we do. We want to make sure that we follow the guidelines that we want for the brand to give the most consistency in the smoke. So when they smoke the cigar, you know what you're getting. Like same thing as Padron. You rarely will find an issue with the Padron cigar, and that's from my personal experience. And so we try to do the exact same thing. And Ike was like, hey, you know what, man, age it a little bit longer for me. I said, not a problem. So we just did it a little longer on top of that once they was rested.
That was one thing I was going to comment too. You've mentioned this a couple of times tonight, Howard, is the construction and the technical aspect of it. That's what I've really enjoyed about, your other cigars too, but in particular this one, the construction has just been flawless. I mean, the ash, I've already ashed at this point, so I'm not going to show it, but it really held very long. It's this nice thick, we call it stacking dimes, when the ash kind of piles up. These are there. It is a solid ash. You can't even see those lines like if we were actually stacking dimes, but it's a really, really well constructed cigar, and but I've really been enjoying it. So the Black Moses line, you put that together and everything. So how long after that did the Magic Stick come out of production at that point?
So the Magic Stick was right after it. So the way it went was Black Moses, Maduro, Black Moses Limited, Magic Stick Habano, and the Cameroon.
Okay.
And so from there, added the natural because it was the same tobacco. We just switched more to get two different tastes from it. Mm-hmm. Just like the Padron has with the 80-year, you have it in the Maduro.
Right. No, absolutely, so, yeah.
And then on the Magic Stick side, we went for a Robusto, which would be the Robusto, the little shorter one, 5x52, and then we paired the Cameroon with the Habano, both at 6x50 Toros.
Okay.
So that's kind of like how we went with that.
I love Cameroon. So is this Cameroon seed or is this genuine African Cameroon?
It's Cameroon seed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it grown in Nicaragua? Do you know, or
no? It's not grown in. They actually purchased that they purchased that wrapper.
Okay.
And give it to Nicaragua.
Okay, cool.
So that's why it's because there's a couple of different Cameroon rappers out there, and for us, I've noticed because ours is a little delicate. It's very delicate. Like I try to even when if I ship some out, I try to make sure I keep different packs in there to make sure to keep the humidity. But even once we get to where we at, we want to make sure not smoke it right then and there, because that wrapper is extremely delicate. So we want to get it right on the right humidification prior to smoking it. But that's one cigar I really want to do other things with, but I got to see how can I do it without jeopardizing the quality of the wrapper is my main, thing right now that we're looking at. But it's an enjoyable smoke for us, and we're super pleased with the people that smoke it and get back to us with that.
Well, like you said, it's your favorite. It's how you start your day and how you end it. It was the first one of your cigars that I tried, Howard, and when I say I was blown away, I don't say that lightly, and I'm not saying that because you're on my show. I can tell you exactly the 2 times in my life I get handed, I used to work cigar retail. So I got handed cigars all the time. I've had a lot of first impressions, and there's 2 times where I've been caught completely off guard about how incredible cigar was. And the first time was when I smoked Phil Zangi's Debonair Maduro. Okay. That was kind of a wow experience. And like I told you, I didn't know that American Caribbean made your cigar at the time. And so I had nothing to go on. I didn't know if it was genuine if it was genuine African Cameroon. I didn't know if it was Cameroon seed. I had nothing to know on. I was just really anxious to try your product because you're a supporter of the PCA, which we'll get into here in a few moments. And I was like, okay, so I grabbed it, threw it out, clicked it, lighted it up, and I was blown away. It caught me that off guard about how unique and how flavorful it is. It was absolutely outstanding, Howard. I cannot laud more praise upon it. It was fantastic. I really, really enjoy the cigar. I really encourage everyone, all of my listeners, you got to check out Howard G's Cameroon. Check out all his cigars, but that one had the first impression award for me. That was incredible. So, obviously, like you said, it's your go-to out of your lines as far as like first and last cigars of the day. I know you like all your cigars, of course, but what was it about when you got to this blend and, when you were working with Alex and everything that you're like, what did you like about it? Was it the retrohale? Was it what was it about this blend that was like, that's it?
Well, number one, I retrohale every single cigar that I smoke just to really open up my navel patches to be able to to really taste everything. So I don't do it on every time I inhale, but every time I take a puff. But when I first smoked the Cameroon, it literally made me feel like this is a cigar that I literally can give to anyone. Right? Mm-hmm. Anyone. If they say pick one cigar you can hand to anyone, I personally would hand the Cameroon. And the reason I would is because it's number one, it's not a lot of times when you have the stronger cigars, the smell of the cigars, some people could be turned off by it or things like that. I've never I have guys that have wives that don't smoke and they don't like to be around smoke at all, but that's hung out with their husband that was smoking the Cameroon and said, you know what, that doesn't smell bad at all. It actually smells good. It makes me want to smoke it, right? And so those are different things that we've heard over time. But for me, I love the taste of that wrapper. Because for me, the smaller the cigar, the smaller the gauge, the more you taste the wrapper. And I just love that taste of the wrapper. And I believe that by getting that in the hands of more people, they'll understand that wrapper. Because most people think that, okay, well, if you have a Connecticut wrap, that means it has to be a mild cigar or an extremely light cigar. And if the cigar has, is a darker wrapper, it's immediately a strong cigar. And that's not the case. We have I've had blends that we worked on that are a Connecticut wrapper that's smoked stronger than. Matter of fact, some people think the Black Moses Maduro doesn't smoke as strong as the Majestic Habano Robusto.
I could see that.
I get that a lot.
I can see that. I haven't had the Robusto, but I have had the Habano, and I've had the Majestic Maduro before, and the Black Moses Maduro, and yeah, no, I get that. That Black Moses Maduro is got this really nice richness to it, which kind of tempers down that intensity of the blend a little bit, in my mind. I mean, people could have a different experience, but yeah, so I could definitely see that. So this kind of leads us into the all pro series. Now, we've already talked about one of a kind. I've since found out this answer, but how does a Dallas Cowboy fan hook up with a Pittsburgh Steeler? I know everyone's wanting to know this. I found out the answer, but I wanted everyone to hear this.
Well, first of all, I just want you to know that there's two Pittsburgh Steelers that I'm with, because Leon Searcy was Bill Cowher's very first draft pick in '92.
That's right. Yeah, I know he built his legacy in Jacksonville, but yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So he was with the Steelers for 4 years prior, and then after he lost to my Cowboys in the Super Bowl in '95, Jacksonville got him as a right tackle to protect Mark Brunell, who was a left-handed quarterback. And so he was drafted a Steeler. Leon, he likes to say he was born a Steeler but raised a Jaguar. So yes, when it talks about that, typically me and Ike, we have such a brotherhood that he really is not really, he doesn't, like, he feels bad for me, like when he's like, where are you watching the Cowboys playoff game? All right, I'll be there. And so we watch it together. You know what I mean? And then when the Cowboys were losing, and I'm sitting there throwing my hat, and I'm all animated, and I'm extremely mad. And he's still being positive, like to me, saying, "Hey, it's okay. You still got action. Maybe we're gonna get the ball back. So he's not like that. Leon, on the other hand, Leon's the devil. Leon, he called me. Leon says, "Howie, I got a nursery rhyme." And I said, okay. He goes, "Roses are red, the Cowboys are lame. You went 13-3, couldn't win a playoff game." Like stuff like that. He hit me with every single year.
Cold, man.
It's bad.
Cold-hearted.
It's really bad, bro. So he's the real issue that I have when it comes to
funny.
To sports. But how did me and Ike, we live in the same neighborhood, which is not too far from Corona. Yeah. So I would be with Ike and work out a lot with them and stuff like that, as well. So that built our bond a little differently. Now, I will admit that as a Cowboy fan, I do have nothing but respect for the Steelers, not because they have one more Super Bowl than we, but also going to Pittsburgh and doing events in Pittsburgh and just going to their city in general. I've really grown fond of it, and the amount of people I've been able to create relationships with and things like that. Those guys are really diehard fans. I mean, when I say diehard, they're real, and and I can appreciate that just as a human being. People that are passionate, about and you have that with the Packers. Those cheeseheads are passionate cheeseheads, man. And so I have nothing but respect for those different teams as well. It's just everybody loves to hate my Cowboys. It's like you either like a Cowboy fan or you hate the Cowboys. Like, you know what I mean? And so, but I'm not one of those haters, man. I just watch it, but I don't hate on nobody else's team because I have a lot of friends in other One of my good friends is Nick Collins. He got a Super Bowl. He got a Super Bowl and ran it back for a touchdown in the Packers Super Bowl in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And when, matter of fact, they beat Ike and the Steelers. That's why, Ike has 2 instead of 3. And that's when when Aaron Rodgers was absolutely flawless in that game. He was, literally perfect in that game. But it's just fun. We get together. Matter of fact, the year that so it wasn't last year, it was a year prior when Tampa Bay beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. That Super Bowl week, I had Ike and Nick Collins sitting together, and we were smoking cigars, and all we was doing, I was asking those guys what led to that to the Packers winning that Super Bowl over the Steelers. And both those guys sitting there talking, Ike talking, then Nick talking, and Ike talking, they both agreed that it came down to Aaron Rodgers with like some perfect passes that were like absolutely couldn't have been no better thrown balls. And so when Ike would go to the sideline, Coach Dick LeBeau said, "Hey, ain't nothing you could have did. Ain't nothing nobody could have did. Like the guy is he's on another level right now." And so, but those conversations are really cool. You know what I mean? Just between two Super Bowl champions just sitting out there hanging out and just talking. And so that's one of the cool things that we do. Everybody will jab me about my Cowboys in the beginning, but after a while they'll forget about it, and over a cigar we'll just talk about, their team or whatever. But it's always enjoyable because we're doing it over a cigar. So it's always fun for us.
I would never tell this to Leon's face, just because out of respect for him, it'd probably make him feel old. But I grew up playing Madden like most kids in this country. And I would always trade for Leon Searcy because my brother's a lefty, so my brother was the quarterback. We would create him as the quarterback, and so we would trade for Leon Searcy to protect his blind side. So, it's funny you mentioned the Mark Brunell bit. That's why I was like, oh, that's funny. I'll say this bit. I would never tell Leon that because I feel like I'd be like, I'm really gonna date myself here, and make you feel.
Listen, he would be honored to hear that. Matter of fact, I'll tell him for you.
It's good.
I'll tell him for you, man. That's awesome. That is really cool.
Yeah. So speaking of Leon, I know this was the first cigar in the All Pro series. I'm going to pull this out because this thing is massive. Okay. For everyone out there, just I don't think the video is going to do it respect. So this is an 8 3/4 by 60. Okay. This is the All Pro series, Leon Searcy. Now you had some really, and I really liked what you were talking about. And we talked a little bit about before the show as well. About why, like, for instance, Ike wanted to have Pennsylvania tobacco inside of the one of a kind. It was to pay tribute to the years that he spent in Pittsburgh and everything. But you were like, that's his blend, and that's the cigar that he enjoys. And it was very important for you to put that. And the same thing can be said about Leon. So talk to us a little bit about this massive project, the Leon Searcy, a little bit.
Well, that cigar is affectionately known as the Big Circe. And the reason why is because we also have coming out soon, very soon, we have the Little Circe. And so that'll be, yes, because that cigar, Bear, is absolutely a phenomenal cigar. It's an amazing cigar.
It's a commitment.
But it's intimidating, it's intimidating for certain individuals. And so, but for the All Pro series for us, it has to be authentic. It has to be for the athlete. See, I'm not the NFL legend, so I can just make a cigar and put a name on it. I can't do that. It has to be their favorite cigar. And so with Leon, being that he's a 3-time national champion, Miami Hurricane, greatest Miami Hurricane offensive lineman, and being known if you ever look at when he played football, he was known to give a punch. That's what anybody always said. Leon had like he could have been a boxer with the punches, that he gave. So for that, we wanted to come up with that in a cigar for him that was a smooth cigar, but that it'll give you like a little punch. And so with the Big Sur's, we say that we have 4/4 of a punch with that cigar. So typically, you have the first quarter, and then as you go on the second quarter, third quarter, and towards the end, you have the fourth quarter. But that cigar is smooth throughout, and it'll give you that nice little jab. Maduro, it's a Maduro wrapper, and it's a Nicaraguan blend. And in that blend, it has Esteli, it has Jalapa, and it has a little Ometepe as well. But the way the blend is set up and the way they put it together is for it to not be overpowering. Sometimes when you're dealing with a cigar could be too peppery, or it could be too much strength, but that has a nice smooth note throughout. And so one of the good things about it is, and like you were saying, Leon has a video out, and while he's saying, Howie, this is my favorite cigar, and I'm so thankful, that we was able to put this together and, and go from there. But the cool thing about it for me, Bear, is just that, you see Leon with a cigar, right? If I remember they had a reunion from the 1987 or 89 championship team for the Miami Hurricanes. And so I'm at the game with them. By the way, I'm a Florida State fan. So, but we fight about that too. But
I was gonna say
we fight about that too. But
you really are a man of the people, Howard.
They put me in the war room out there with those guys, man. It's bad. But so we go to that game, and it's halftime, and so Leon's going on the field with the other legends, Gino Toretta and those different guys from that team, and Leon's out there with a cigar in his mouth. That's Leon, and he has a radio station in Jacksonville, and he also does sports commentating for the Jaguars, and so he lives out there, and he does.
Oh, is he still doing that? I knew he was doing that for a while. I didn't know if he was still doing it. Okay.
He loves it, man. When I tell you Leon tells the best stories, I mean, I believe Leon literally, he tells the best stories of anybody, and so he really walks and breathes and sleeps, football and cigars. And so I just did an event with him, just myself and him in Jacksonville. We did it at Island Girl Cigar at Gate Parkway, and then we did another one at Aromas Cigar with two nice, really nice cigar spots in Jacksonville. And those events were great. People from the city, commissioners and people that do business with Leon and commercials and different things like that. They were all coming in all to support the line, but also really to support, the Jacksonville legend. And so just a fun time with them. But anybody that knows him knows he smokes a cigar. That's constantly, and that cigar is his favorite. And and he constantly is posting every day you see him, he's gonna have a cigar. And so it's just exciting the fact that you can look at him and you can look at Ike and you can tell, hey, this is for the love of what cigars have done. What this industry have done for relationships, for brotherhoods, for in certain cases women now. So they call it sisterhoods. But just how you can bring all walks of life together, man, is just important to us. And I give you a quick standpoint. Ike and I was talking the other day to somebody, and he was saying, man, we've had CEOs of Fortune 500 companies sitting down at the table with professional athletes and just teachers and doctors and janitors, all at the same table, sitting down, and the only thing was discussed was, man, what are you smoking? Man, I don't know. Man, how long you been smoking this? Oh man, well, have you tried this cigar? and then they'll just reach in and say, "Hey, try this." And so we talk about where else can you do that? People that probably, if you was walking down the street, probably would never speak to each other, become great friends by just sitting down and smoking a cigar. And so that's kind of like, typical things that happen in our world for us. I'm pretty sure, of course, it's the same with you, right, man?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said before, I mean, that's one of the great things. I mean, that's why I went to work in a cigar store. That's why I stayed working, as a second job. Even, there was a time where I needed the second job, and even when I didn't need it anymore, I still loved it because of what you're talking about. You can have, you know, doctors and janitors and lawyers and mechanics all together, chatting about what they love, which is cigars. And it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I mean, one of the things that I really like is that, like the cigar shop that I worked at for years. I mean, two of my dearest friends from that shop, one's for, as long as I've known him, he's been working on his PhD candidacy. He's an academic, in, classic Shakespearean literature. Like he's brilliant. And one of our closest friends is, he's a sports savant, and he could probably tell Ike Taylor more about Ike Taylor's career than Ike Taylor could. I mean, like, he knows everything about everything. It's just insane. But his vocation is, he's a mechanic. He'll tell you he's a grease monkey. That's what he'll tell you he is. And they're two of the closest friends that I have from the cigar shop, and they're two friends of each other, and it's one of the, it's a beautiful thing. I love the American cigar store. I love what these cigars do, and they bring everyone together. It's absolutely true. So you, going back to Leon for just a moment, if you want to tell him to, put his name up and kind of replace Booger McFarlane on national broadcasts, he should probably do that. Because I remember listening to, I can't even tell you why, but I remember listening to Leon on the radio, and I thought he was very good. And background on me, I went to college. I went to college, and my degree is in sports broadcasting. So, okay. So I really enjoy the art of broadcasting. I finally get to use it. I finally get to use my degree by doing podcasts. But I thought he was very good when I listened to him. So, with all respect to Booger McFarlane, I think there are plenty of people that are a lot better at commentating than he is. So if Leon wants to put in for his job, I'd be all for that. He'd have my vote of confidence. So that's so growing up, who was your favorite? Okay, you grew up in Kissimmee. You grew up in Orlando. Mm-hmm. But you're a Cowboy. Did you grow up a Cowboys fan? Because you were a Bulls fan. You were telling me too. Like,
so I was born. So I was a Cowboys fan from birth. Like,
okay.
Other people in my family are Cowboy fans. Okay. As well. And that's just I stuck with it, and you learn, you'll find this about me when I'm down with you, I'm down with you whether you're high or low. You know what I mean? We're like four flat tires, man. So it's like, I've never liked to give up on anything, and so we're in. I was a Cowboy fan. I just loved the Dallas Cowboys, the star, the everything, and so on the down years, I just literally, there's a lot of stuff that I have that's specific all Dallas. Before you come to my home, there's you have to wipe your feet on the star before you walk in the premises. It's I remember certain things, it was just set up that way, but it's just I just stuck with him the whole time.
So it's something. So who's the favorite player? Who's your favorite player growing up?
My favorite player of all time is Deion Sanders.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, Man, I loved watching him play. God,
Florida,
Florida State. Oh yeah, you're a Florida State fan. Oh,
too.
from the beginning. Okay.
So I have the Florida State jersey of Dion, and then in my office at my cigar office inside there, I have the Deion Sanders Dallas Cowboys signed autographed jersey on framed. I think Prime is one of the most special players the sports world has ever seen, in my opinion. And
I agree.
So, the guy was so good that, Jerry Jones said, man, I got to have him, when right. When you think about what in 94.
He beat him in the championship game when he was a 49er.
I need him. And then he came over to Dallas and then he beat Leon and the Steelers. And because they wouldn't even they shut down, the man shut down one side of the field. They won't even throw his way. And so
he caught a pass in that Super Bowl too.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He caught a pass, And then think about it. He had a game when he was playing for the Falcons that he played a game, a football game, and then caught a helicopter and ended up playing a baseball game.
Played a playoff baseball game, yeah, the same day.
You know what I mean? So it was like, the guy was I always just liked his confidence, and to me, he was a football version of Muhammad Ali, where he would talk trash, but he would back it up. And so, nobody cares if you back it up. When you're talking and you can't back it up, then all of a sudden you're like, man, get out of here. But he was able to do it, and so I just took a liking to him. But as far as my all-time favorite athlete, who I think is like just a whole nother level of individual, period, it's just Michael Jordan. I mean, that's just I just think that guy's for me as a kid, just to watch him, it was just, it was a joy to be able to grow up in that era to see him. And so, so that's why I said I was a Michael Jordan. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. So even when people leave the Cowboys, I'm still a Cowboy fan. When we were talking about back then the Bulls, I said I'm a Michael Jordan fan. So when Jordan went to the Wizards, guess who I like? I like the Wizards fan.
Yeah.
If Jordan comes out of retirement today and decides to go and play for Charlotte, not own it, but to play for them, then guess what? I'm a Charlotte Hornet fan. You know what I mean? Because I'm a Michael Jordan fan. So that's a little different there.
Yeah, one of my childhood friends felt that way about Shaq, and so he followed Shaq wherever he went. He was a Magic fan for a while. He was a Laker fan, then he was a Heat fan. I mean, he's got every Shaq jersey, including like because I'm a Boston fan, so Celtics. He has the 36 Boston Celtics jersey that he wore. I was like, man, that's deep. That's deep dedication, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
He called himself the Big Shamrock.
Yeah. Do you know if Deion smokes cigars? I know Jordan does. Obviously, that's well known.
Deion does not smoke cigars. He doesn't smoke nor drink.
I knew that he was sober. I knew that on the drinking side, but I didn't know if he ever partook in cigars or not. He's dealing with some health issues right now, so we're really hoping he comes back, because he's done a hell of a job at Jackson State. What a great job he's done coaching those kids, man. He's done a great, wonderful job. I was on the fence about that move. I was curious. I really wanted to pay attention to see it, and he's done a phenomenal job. I never thought of him as coaching material. I got to be honest. I thought I saw him doing anything else, but I mean, like you said, the Muhammad Ali, if he puts his mind to something, if he says he's going to do it, he's going to do it,
Mm-hmm.
So that's great. Well, Howard, I've really enjoyed this tonight's conversation. We've got a few more segments coming up. These are what we call our fun segments to kind of close out the evening, and really enjoyed learning about your story, learning about the stories of the cigars, and sharing it with my audience. It's been fantastic. The One of a Kind was a wonderful cigar. I'm smoking the Black Moses Maduro now. Really enjoying this cigar too, and it's after you kind of brought to light the genesis of this project, with Padron, I'm smoking it with new eyes and new taste buds, and I'm enjoying it thoroughly. So, so the first segment as we go into this is our One Must Go, which we do every week, which is always brought to you by United Cigars. Smoke one today and start living united. United Cigars featuring La Giana Havana and distributors of Jose Dominguez, Bandolero, Garofalo, and the highly acclaimed Atabey and Byron lines. So smoke one today and start living united. Now, Howard, the point of this, I briefly told you about this before we kicked off tonight's show. The point of this segment is I give you three things, and I try to typically curb this around my guests. And like I said before, this is the first time you and I have met, so this was a little bit of a challenge. But I think I've picked three things that are pretty good. So I'm going to give you three things that I think you like, and you gotta kick one to the curb. You gotta say it. Now, obviously, it's not for real. You're not saying I'm never going to do it again or anything like that. So for anyone out there who's like freaking out, like, oh my gosh, what's he going to pick? But I'm interested to hear this. So here are your three choices. You get a night on the town or a day on the town. It's you get to enjoy your whatever you want to do for that day. And I'm going to give you three choices. You get to go to an Orlando Magic game. You can get to go to the casino, which I know you're a big fan of. Or you can play a round of golf at your favorite golf course, which I want to hear what your favorite golf course is. What is the one that's got to go? A wonderful night at the casino of your choice, an Orlando Magic game, or a round of golf at your favorite golf course. Which one's got to go?
At this point right now, I would probably say the Magic.
We talked about things. They got a young team, the young squad. For sure. Okay. All
if it was the Shaq and Penny and Nick Anderson days, then I probably would say the golf. the one thing that's never going to go is the casino.
I see you like to go there. So it was really awesome. I started playing poker in college, and I didn't have to be 21. We went across the border to Oklahoma. We could play poker at the casino there at WinStar in Thackerville, Oklahoma, whole of WinStar Casino. Got to play poker there and everything. So so when did you start going to casinos, and what I see? Are you a slots guy? It seems like, or do you play everything?
I love the slots.
So when did that start? When did you start going to casinos and really liking it so much?
I started going to, I would say about 10 years now. I've been going to because here in Orlando we're pretty much owned by Disney, so we can't, everything pretty much shuts down at 2:00. But but right down the road there in Tampa, they have the Hard Rock Casino, and so I frequent there a lot. And the reason why is because it's like therapy for me. Like I can literally sit down and it's me and the slot machine, and I have my case with my cigars in it, and so I prefer to play in the evening. And when I say the evening, I mean like after 10 o'clock. After 10 p.m. is when I prefer. And the reason why is because I have my own little thinking, but I know if a lot of people has been playing earlier that day, in the daytime, in the evening, stuff like that, I think the machines probably have a little extra money to give away in those hours. And so I've hit more jackpots in those after 10 o'clock hours than I've ever done earlier in the day. And so
you got a whole strategy down. You got this figured out, man. That's
I have a little system. I prefer to I like the dancing drums a lot because I like the progressive games where I can get free games.
Okay.
Because a lot of times you're playing something and it's pretty much, $15 a push or $20 a push, and the money is gone at the end. Boom, I lost it. Boom. Yeah. But with the progressive, you might push, a $20 play, and you might, not get a bonus, but you might get a couple of things that add up or line up, and they give you, $7 or $8 back. So continue on. So, so I'm a progressive slot machine guy. But
it sounded like you just kind of gave it away. But what denomination do you play at? Like, is it does it $10 slots, or what do you usually play?
I typically at Hard Rock, I prefer to play in the high limits. So I typically play anywhere from 10 to 25. That's kind of like my threshold.
Okay.
Because typically right in that spectrum, if you play, the payouts are better.
Of
Compared
course, yeah.
to excuse me, people that's playing 50 cents and a dollar. I mean, you play for hours, and then you close the machine, or you hit a bonus and you get $30. It's not appealing. So I'm trying to I try to play around that standpoint, and so the payouts are higher. And honestly, it's like a little rush, especially when you're in a room and you see the people in the red shirts, the red jackets come out, and they're coming to a person right next to you, and they just hit a jackpot. So the momentum is going, the energy, and then people's like, "You're next," or something like that. So it's
nice.
For me. It's just something that I enjoy, and
it's another community. It's another community.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, since you're a slots guy, I'll tell you this story. So my wife and I went to Vegas a number of years ago, and our budget was conceivably lower than yours, and so she played the penny slots. But my wife, man, she took the penny slots for some money that weekend. I'm not kidding. She finished. I'm kidding not. On penny slots, Howard, she finished $144 up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It was really impressive.
Absolutely.
She was running hot, man. It was insane. For penny slots, it was nuts. It's like,
absolutely.
So, all right. Well, that was our one must go. So the Orlando Magic have to sit out for Howard. But don't worry, Magic fans. He's a loyal fan. He's still got his tickets. He's still going to be going. He's gonna be hanging with y'all. So this is just an exercise. One must go. Always brought to you by United Cigar, featuring La Giana Havana, distributors of Jose Dominguez, Bandolero, Garofalo, and the highly acclaimed Atabey and Byron lines. So this has become my favorite segment on the show each week, Howard. And I was texting with Rachel earlier today, and she got with you on your choice for this evening. And this is the time of the night where we talk about the charity or nonprofit of my guest choosing. So each week I've done this for over a year and a half now. We've featured some phenomenal charities and nonprofits, some local, some national, some you haven't even heard of. And tonight we've got a really local charity that you're really proud of. And so I'm really excited for you to talk. You brought forward to us the Orange County Police Athletic League. Now I'll just give a brief introduction here, and then I want you to talk about why this means to you. But this is a fantastic organization that was established in the early 90s. And its sole purpose is dedicating it to provide athletic, recreational, and educational programs for at-risk youth by using law enforcement officers as coaches, mentors, and other officials to influence children to avoid life of crime, drugs, gangs, violence, and truancy. So what a great organization. So Howard, how did you become involved with this, and why is this nonprofit so important to you all?
Well, the reason I'm passionate about it is because, number one, I live in this city, and being that I have friends that are involved with the foundation itself. So Ray Kudre is on the board, Tammy Giannoni, and these are all my friends from Coronas, over the last 14 years, and so one thing I've always been about is, trying to help the kids in any way possible. I was blessed to have my father in the home, and my father and my mother, and my father since has passed away. But a lot of my mindset and my determination and drive comes because I was privileged to have that father. There's a lot of kids that does not have that, and don't have that right rooted upbringing, right? And so a lot of times when you look at when a child is growing up, there's a time when you have a fork in the road that comes. And that fork in the road is, okay, I can continue, I can go this way and be somebody productive into society, or it's always easy to follow the crowd and go into doing things where you shouldn't be doing, and then then it ends up in trouble and things like that. The at-risk youth and stuff like it starts with, who is that, they're helping you, who's keeping you focused and showing you the big picture. Because when you look back at those ages, as those kids when the kids are in, they don't know, you know what I mean? They don't, their little mind is not developed as an adult. So they're going by, the flow. And so when Ray brought that to our attention about being a part of sponsorships and different things with PAL, we were definitely 100% on board. We tried to, with PAL golf tournaments, we try to sponsor foursomes. We try to, put out cigars, out sponsor boxes for the events, raise money. And one of the things we do a great job at it, and a lot of it is they call us the Coronians, the guys that are real, like from Sand Lake. We do a lot of great events and we raise a lot of money. I remember last year, we were just at one of our friends' homes. He just put together an event with food, and I donated some cigars, and other people donated different things, and we raised over $20,000 just at their house, and donated it. It went to the kids. So, and for me to go to Corona and Ray to say, hey, Howie, look, man, we were able to get 2,800 backpacks to give out for the kids for school. Another thing, Ray was really excited because we got Ike on board with us as well, and there was a kid that Ray found out. Ray's like the president or something of PAL. He's on one of those levels, and there was a kid that was a really good athlete guy, but he was right on the cusp of going in the wrong direction, and Ray wanted to get Ike to go to have a little lunch with him, and that's what he did. He went and had lunch with the kid and gave the kid his cell phone number and said, listen, man, anything you need, give me a call. If you need somebody to talk to, give me a call, or don't go that direction because your big brother went that direction. That's going to lead, in this category. So for me to see the fact that I was blessed, I have a son that's 18, and I'm able to pour into my son, and he's a great kid. Thank God for that. But it's other people that never did have that. So I realized growing up that I was blessed because when I look back to the people that even played football with me, did where I when that fork in the world came, I went this way and a lot of them went, this way. And not that they were bad people or anything, they just didn't have the right guidance and it's who you're, the circle that you're involved with, who's in your corner, who you're sitting down with, who you're spending your time with. And honestly, Bear, that's one of the reasons why I really latched on to the cigars at an early age, because, I always looked at, successful people smoke cigars. People that are doing well in life smoke cigars because it's not something cheap. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it's I even though I consider a cigar a necessity for me, but in all actuality, it's really a luxury. But it's a luxury that people enjoy, and so I look at how my life has grown, even being around, people in the cigar world. Wherein my son, who's 18, he's come to Coronas, and sit outside, and talk with some of the top attorneys in the state of Florida, and talk with some, builders, talk with, some of my buddies that owns dealerships and my financial advisor, and just it's like the mindset. It's you can have a conversation and learn more as a kid. So you say, well, this is what he did, and what's so important is that I'm so excited that I have friends that they'll just take my son to the side and just talk to him and tell him, hey man, these are some of the things we want you to look at. You say this is what your passion is. Look at this. And so, but with PAL, they reach back to the youth prior to them already getting to that age where they already made their decision. So you can try to steer them a different way. And for that, I'm 100% behind, and I'm proud to be a part of that. And they do a lot of dinners and I mean raise a lot of money, and they're fun events. I mean, you get people that smoke cigars together. And then all of and then they're bidding and raffling off a box of cigars that cost $200 goes for $500 and $600 because it's going to the kids, and just different things like that. So, but it's a very to see the progression that PAL has done in the last 3 years it's been awesome. Matter of fact, their last month we just did something at for PAL at outside Corona Sand Lake.
Oh, okay.
Jeff has the FSG farm.
Mm-hmm.
He has the cigars, but he also has the FSG farm where he has FSG beef.
Right, the cattle. Yeah, we were talking about that a couple weeks ago.
And so one of our buddies, Paulie, owns a dealership around here. There's one of our great friends. He bought that. He bought the cow or half of the cow, and he donated half. Excuse me. He donated half of all the beef he got for the cow for PAL. So they were doing FSG burgers and a bottle of Quintessa wine for $250. And so all the proceeds went to PAL.
That's awesome.
Then so a lot of people was doing that. Everybody that was outside Coronas brought their chairs and stuff like that, and it was doing that. Then we had raffles, and there was a lot of things just being raffled off, and all the proceeds go there. And I believe right there in approximately like 2 to 3 hours, they raised over 5 figures just right there in the parking lot.
That's beautiful. Beautiful.
And they have food. They have Charlie's Steakhouse. They do an event there. They do a golf tournament, and so it's. But when you get a chance to, you see when you see where the money is going, it's awesome.
Yeah. 100%.
You see it. So everybody donates the money. Then they go ahead and get the stuff for the school. And then now you have the teachers and the people saying, "Hey man, thank you guys so much for what you guys, what PAL did for the community." And so we think the best way to continue is to get the kids prior to them making that choice to go to the opposite direction, to show them, hey, here's somebody that looks like you, that's grew up like you, that this is what they did with their life.
Yeah.
And so I believe the word passion, Passion, means to pass it on. You get to a level in life where, you don't want to take it with you to the grave. I want to die empty. I want to give everything I got, give it out. So they say, I used up this body pretty well, instead of taking it all with you, instead of passing it to someone else. So So we're definitely, as you can see, we're definitely excited about PAL, and can't wait to see how many more kids, futures that we help, shape in a positive way.
That's awesome. You mentioned Ike in your story there, Howard, and I remember an interview the two of you gave where Ike was talking about almost that very thing you were talking about, like-minded individuals. Like you said, you associated with cigars very early on because success. You hang around with successful people, you're going to be successful. It's just like you are who you associate with, and I could see that's what PAL's trying to do. And I remember Ike in this interview the two of you were in, Ike was talking about how I can't remember the context, but he was talking about how the reason he was drawn to cigars early on was, as a 20-year-old, something professional in the league. But cigar smokers are 35, 40-year-old, 45-year-old men and women. And so his maturity level rose because he was hanging out with more mature individuals. So, it's that by proxy kind of rule and everything. So I can see why you guys are so aligned on a lot of things, because he obviously felt very similar to it. You might have been talking about PAL or maybe something else out of context, but it's 100% true. So a phenomenal organization. I'm going to put it in my show notes later on, everybody, but it's in the chat there. If you want to learn more about the organization, please do. Please consider donating to this fantastic organization. And Howard, I do this every week. My wife and I made the decision when I started this segment that each week we were going to be donating to every charity that gets mentioned on the show. So later tonight, my wife and I will be making a small donation in yours and Rachel's honor to PAL. So thank you so much for bringing it to our attention tonight. Thank you. So just a couple more questions here, Howard, to kind of cap off the evening. And I do, again, thank you so much for all your time. So again, I go back to the reason why you're on this show. Was the reason you caught my attention was because last year's PCA, I in attendance there, and I saw a list of brands, some that I knew very well, as PCA sponsors, title sponsors, and then there was this brand that I had never heard of, Howard G Cigars, and I was like, what's that all about? So you made the decision very early on to support the industry and sponsor PCA, and so. My question's twofold. I mean, what went into that decision, and then will you be returning to PCA again this year?
Absolutely, yes. Is the answer to that. We'll be at PCA. But the reason why we did is because we're here for the long haul. So we're connected with the industry. We understand that PCA are the ones that go out there and fight for us to continue to be able to produce cigars and to be able to share cigars and sell cigars, but also to be able to smoke and hang out in environments like a Coronas where we do a lot of relationship building and creating relationships. And we understand that, and we don't typically get into politics that much, but we look at the fact that there's certain standpoints where some people are trying to eliminate and compare premium cigars to cigarettes. It's absolutely, there's no comparison, to it. And so what PCA is doing is fighting. They're fighting on behalf of us, to make sure that our industry is maintained the level and stay where it needs to be, where other people are trying to, make it seem like, cigars are the worst thing ever. When I look back at it, and I bring up Avo again, I asked Avo, what's the secret to being 91? He says, how he says, eat good. He says, but smoke 2 cigars a day, So I said, okay, well, if I go to 4, would that make me live to be past 100, right? but I mean, that's what he says. I remember as a kid, when I used to be looking on the television, I always remember the guy named George Burns that lived to be like 100 years old. I've never seen that guy without a cigar, without a cigar. But so, they try to make us seem like we're in the same vein as a cigarette or a Black and Mild or something that's, you know, not produced by hand and premium and stuff like that. And so I'm all for it. And so I definitely wanted to be a part of PCA #1, but wanted to be a title sponsor to so people would know, hey, we're not, you know, in the cigar business as a fad. We're not coming in here, you know, trying to be a fly by night or anything. We're in this for the long haul, but we want to do things the right way. And you're not gonna come in and be a premium cigar company if you're not associated with PCA, the one, and knowing what's going on in the industry and state by state and what's going on and the challenges that we incur. And it's been an actual it's been a great thing because it's that particular venue is the reason why you saw us on, you know, with Bavetta, you know, with the podcast with Bavetta. It's the reason why a lot of people saw us on, you know, another 3 or 4 podcasts that we did right there, or people that met us there and wanted to do something prior to that. Also, that same thing is for people that wanted to say, hey, they call the company and say, hey, we would like to find out what we need to do because we see you a part of PCA and as well. And, you know you're a real cigar company because you're a part of PCA. We see the fact that you're not just talking it, but you're there at the shows. You're there, you know, in your, you know, you're putting your money where your mouth is, you know, and as a boutique, because, you know, there's other people out there that were saying, hey, we're in the cigar business, but you're not at PCA, but okay, we'll just go to some other shows. No, if it's the show for the industry, that's where we want to be. If you know, because what it also allows us to do is maximize our time and meet people such as yourself. I mean, you came by to see us, but, you know, we were doing a podcast one time and another time, you know, I guess we had customers or something, but yeah. That's why I go to PCA. I go to PCA to meet people like yourself, to meet the cigar store owners, and then also to be able to, you know, to have a personal one-on-one, you know, time with them. Because honestly, I do most of my business after the show, when we all get together at one of the bars. And one of the beautiful things, you know, is friends of mine in other companies, you know, and I even shout out my buddy Javi from Placencia, one of my really close friends. You know, he's Howie, come over here with me, but then turn around and say, hey, this guy right here, hey, you need to meet Howard G. Howard G is he's one of my closest friends. Da da da, beautiful cigar. I smoke all his cigars. Da da da. And then guess what? Now I have a conversation, and the guy wants to. He's finished with his cigar, and I give him another one. Now he smokes the cigar. He likes the cigar. He says, "You know what? I'll be at your booth tomorrow. What's your booth number? All right, I'll be there tomorrow and place order and get you in our lounges." You know, nice. and it starts like that. You know, yeah. But it's just been having an appreciation of this industry. The industry's been around way before us, and it'll be around, you know, when we're long and gone. But we just want to carve our little niche in it as well, and create our little lasting memories in it. So, but the answer to your question is that yes, we are already set and everything for PCA for this year as well, and as well as TPE. TPE was really good for us this year as well. TPE
yeah, it looked like a good show for y'all. No, it looked like a good show for a lot of people. That was great.
We had a great time at TP as well.
No, that really caught my attention, and for those exact reasons, Howard. I mean, I'm hook, line, and sinker was the guy that, and the message came across loud and clear, even though you and I didn't exchange a word. And I was like, this is someone who, you know, obviously is taking this industry seriously and wants to put a foot forward, and I think you did a great job with that. So congratulations, and we really appreciate your support. So And this is our last question of the night, Howard, and I just want to thank you once again for all your time this evening. I recognize Sunday nights, late Sunday nights, especially when it's daylight savings change. It's actually a little bit, it's throwing all of us off, I'm sure, but it really do appreciate your extra time tonight. I really appreciate Rachel for putting this together, and I know she's there behind the camera by your side. She set us up tonight, and really appreciate the cigars that you sent. The awesome shirt that I'm sporting tonight is all thanks to her. And really can't thank you enough for doing this. It means the world to me. I've been wanting to do this interview since PCA, and really excited that we got together on this. So the last question of the night is our curveball segment, which is always brought to you Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. Curveballs or fastballs, it doesn't matter. Since the company's inception, Steve Sock has been knocking them out of the park. This year, marks 7 consecutive years in the consensus top 3. So congratulations to our good friend Steve Sock on that. So here's the curveball question, Howie. It's actually a 2-parter, which makes it part of the curveball. Okay, so first question is, we're taking bits from our conversation today, and we're going to turn around. So Prime Time is your favorite athlete of all time. So Dion said, and he doesn't smoke cigars, but other than Michael Jordan, sorry, second favorite, right? Second favorite. So Dion comes to you and says, hey, Howard, I don't smoke cigars, but I'm going to get into it. And I want you to make me a cigar on one condition. Since I don't drink, I don't want you to gamble at casinos. Would you give up casinos to make Deion Sanders a cigar?
The answer would be no. And here's the reason why the answer would be no. Making a cigar for Deion Sanders helps Deion Sanders as well. But if Deion Sanders doesn't smoke cigars, having a cigar doesn't really make it authentic.
Okay.
So it's not appealing to the Howard G line, because if you remember, one of the reasons why we started the All Pro series was for the All Pros to be hands-on in the cigar. Okay. So the Ike Taylor cigar was made specifically as Ike Taylor. Had nothing to do with me. All I did was present 40 different types of blends and just take copious notes as Ike goes through and smokes them. He doesn't know what he's smoking. Everything's unbanded. So all we're doing is taking the notes to just find out what is connected to him, what is he liking, and then just checking off what he's liking and Xing out what he doesn't like. Okay. And the same thing is with Leon. So as much as I love Prime Time, and all the the dancing and everything like that, making a cigar for him and he's not going to smoke it is not going to help us out.
So the casino thing doesn't even factor into it. It's just a solid no for straight up for those reasons.
well, like if you said, hey, would you give up, something else? I might think about it, but it wouldn't be authentic. It's going to be the end result.
I love your answer. I love your answer, Howard. That's fantastic. No, that's great. That's great. So here's my last curveball question. Okay. It's not really a curveball question. I just got to know, man. I've seen you done tons of videos. I've seen some amazing pictures of all your events and everything. Man, you are rocking some, and tonight you are too. You are rocking some awesome shirts. Where do these shirts come from? And they are wild. They are crazy. They're out loud, and I love it. I love them, man. Where do you get them, and why do you have that as part of your style?
I wear Robert Graham shirts. Okay. Robert Graham, well, to me, it's wearable art, and so my personality is kind of like the shirts. I'm kind of
I could agree with that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm one of the guys where I can't come in and sit down and just be quiet. Like, I'm going to say hi to everybody. I'm going to speak to you. I don't have if certain people have a face that looks like you're unapproachable, right? Because they're very serious. I'm one of the guys that I'm smiling all day. You know, I'm happy to eat because I try to, you know, they say you use less energy to smile than you do to frown. So I frown, right? I like to smile, and so my personality, the shirts go along with it. So I've been wearing Robert Graham shirts for now going on 10 or 11 years, and so that's a part of my wardrobe. I'm typically,
nice.
You know, a Robert Graham shirt and jeans or slacks or something like that.
Nice. Well, I get what you say about your personality, Howard. I gotta say, you've probably made I've probably smiled more during this interview than any other interview. My natural face is a frown typically. I hear that all the time. My mom still says that to me. It's funny you mentioned that. She's like, you know, you should turn that frown upside down. You know, it takes a lot more energy to frown than it does to smile. I'm like, I know, Mom. It's just my natural face. I don't know what to tell you, but it's funny. In sincerity, I think I've smiled more during this interview than any others. I've had a great time talking to you, Howard. This was an absolute pleasure. It was an absolute privilege for me to sit down with you. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Again, thanks to Rachel Peters for putting this together. Really, really so grateful to her and all the time that she put into it. It just means the world to me for you to give me some time tonight. So thank you. I'm really excited about the future of Howard G Cigars, and everyone out there should be too. So go out there, you can check it out. Get your local retailer to start carrying them. But you know what? If you want to try some of his cigars, you can go to coronacigar.com and order a Black Moses, order a Magic Stick Cameroon, order one of the All Pro series. Heck, order just all of them. You're gonna like every single one of them. I'll when I'm ready to dedicate the time, the big Circe is coming up. I'm gonna light that up probably sometime this week. I'm gonna dedicate myself to it. But I'm really, really, really excited about the future of Howard G. So thank you so much, Howard. I really do appreciate this.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. For everyone out there, this was our 203rd take. You can always check us out on our Facebook page, ELOSOFUMAR. We got some great upcoming guests. We won't be on next week. I'm celebrating, speaking of family, we've talked a lot about family tonight, celebrating my anniversary with my lovely wife. So I won't have a show next week, but we will be back. We've got some great guests coming back to you. We've got Sebastian Decoupe of Cavalier of Geneva and Brian Matola, his newest partner, coming on here in a few weeks. Omar DeFrias of Fratello Cigars and Nick Libretti of JR Cigars will be some guests coming up. Pay attention for those dates as they come out. We'll have some fantastic shows for you coming up. You can always check out our YouTube page, hit the download, hit the subscribe button. If you listen to us later, wherever you listen to podcasts, whether that be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts, be sure you hit the download, subscribe, and review button. If you already are a subscriber, do me a favor, hit unsubscribe. But don't forget to hit resubscribe because that helps my numbers and helps me get great guests like Howard tonight. So again, thank you everyone out there. This was our 203rd take live, as always, from the Alec Bradley Lone Star Studios of Euless, Texas. I'm your host, Barry Duplessis, as always. Guess what, everybody? We'll see you next time.